Whenever you see this type of angle and it has a box here, it's really important that it has a box. As soon as you know that there's a box in this angle, color red usually, and you know that is a right angle. If you know it's a right angle, either from it's given that it's a right angle or from that box, then you know that the value of x will equal to the degree of x will equal to 90 degrees. I like using the right angle as a basis because anything less than 90 degrees, which is from 89 degrees to 1 degree, then it's considered a acute angle. Okay. Up to like large, right? Larger than the right angle, which is 91 all the way to 179 degrees. If you notice, I'm putting degrees here on top to emphasize that that's how the measurements of an angle. Okay. If you don't see this degree symbol, then it's not talking about an angle. That's a side note. A straight angle. Straight angle is just exactly a straight line. Whenever you see a straight line like this, and you're confirming that it's an angle, then you know that it will equal to x equals to 180 degrees. Okay. Another way to explain this is like a right angle. Imagine when you combine two right angles, one facing to the right and one facing to the left. Okay. So the right angle equals to 90 degrees. You have 90 degrees on the right side and the 90 degree on the left side, then 90 plus 90 will equal the value of a straight angle, which is 180. So for this, we're going to be measuring and classifying angles. We already learned how to classify angles. Now we're going to try to figure out how to measure. We're going to try to measure LKN and JKL. So here we're going to be using the angle degree formula. Everything else like the distance, segment distance formula. We're going to be using ray 1 minus ray 2, okay, after value. Another way to translate this is A minus B. Okay. So it's kind of similar to what we did already, A minus B. Okay. We're going to minus the first to the second, and whatever is the result will turn to a positive number. This is easier because you don't have to work with integers. You can just minus it right away and get your answer. The first thing we're going to be doing is angle A, A, N. Okay. First, sorry, not J, K, N, sorry. Erase that. Angle L, A, N. Okay. Do angle LKN. And you look at the rate. Look at where's L at located at, right? L on degree. We're going to first focus on the outside. But know that we're going to be focusing on the outside degree. And then we're going to do one example on the inside of the degree. Outside degree is 30 and 40. In between L is in between 30 and 40. So in between the value of between 30 and 40 is equals to 35. Right? So first, we're going to do our answers right away. We're going to substitute. Is 35 degrees. It's important to put degrees so you can really keep track of what you are doing. The students are just writing down random numbers. And here, the outside degree, right? We're focusing on the outside. The outside of the degree is equals to 180. When you minus 35 and 180, you can distribute it if you want. You use a calculator. However you want to do it. Then will equal to 145 degrees. Negative 145 degrees. But that's going to be inside the absolute value. Then you know that the result is a obtuse. 145 is over the regular of a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So anything over 90 degrees is an obtuse angle. Okay. Cannot be a right angle because it's not equal 90 degrees. It cannot be an acute because the value we have is not less than 90 degrees. We have the value of 145, which will in turn give us a value of an obtuse angle. Okay. So now I'm gonna show you another example on how to do that the same way. Now we're gonna be using the inside of the values. So again, we're still gonna work with angle LKN. And now we're gonna work with the inside. The inside angle is between 155 and 140. Between one, I hope you can see that. Between 150 and 140 has a value of 145 minus parentheses. Everyone practice with parentheses so you can get the word. And the last one is n. Inside the inside degree of the ray of n is, you can barely see it, it is the value of a 0. 145 minus 0, anything minus by a 0 is the same value. You lose nothing. So you subtracted nothing. Okay? So now you have the value of 145, which is still also known as a obtuse angle. So we learned about how to measure angles, right? We know how to name angles now. That's almost like foundational skills. We also know how to classify angles. So that's 3 things we learned about angles. Now we're going to learn about congruent angles. What are congruent angles? If you know what the word congruent means, then it's similar to everything we're going to be learning about, whether it's congruent squares, congruent triangles, right? When you see congruent angles, then you know that the angles have angles with the same measurements. The word is congruent. Congruent will always mean it has the same measurements. Okay? And don't forget that the symbol for congruency is an equal sign and it looks like a 2 faces on top of it, but it's not. Okay? It's not a 2 face. It's just, it means congruency. So here we're going to be learning about tick marks. What? Where's my? Where's my? Oh, my pen. Oh, there. So similar to a tick mark, but now this is called an arc mark. What does an arc mark do? An arc mark indicates congruency. So it indicates congruency. But you have to be careful because the amount of arc marks will determine which angles are congruent. For example, angle A cannot be congruent to angle B because this has 1 arc mark and this has 3. Same as B has 3, and C and angle A, angle C cannot be congruent because C has 2 arc marks and A only has 1 arc mark. So the only angle that angle A is congruent to is angle F. Okay? So we can put that as a fact. Angle A is congruent to angle F. Okay. So now what I want you to do for our last activity is to find the last, the 2 angles that are going to be congruent. All you need to do is just count the arc marks, right? Determine congruency. And let's just write that down so we can practice that. Angle B is congruent to angle D, and also angle C is congruent to angle D. Let's just go more in depth in this one, right? What if angle E has the value of 100? Oh, sorry, not 100. That doesn't even look like close to what I'm going to even say. This a 75 degree. Which angle here also has the value of 75 degrees? Okay, let me put that in. Is it? Which other value has a value of 75 as well? Now, a lot of people answered angle C. That is correct. Angle C. Why? Because you know that angle E and angle C are both congruent. So you know that angle C will also have the value of 75 degrees. Okay. I'll just write it down here. You know that angle E equals to 75 degrees. And you know that it will have the same measurement as angle E. And C will have the same measurement as well, which is 75 degrees. Okay. That is it for the lesson.